From the headlines that move us
to the plays on the field and the people making a difference.
It's news, sports, and stories that keep our community alive.
This is the heartbeat of Tampa Bay.
I'm Christopher Ingram.
And I'm Sarina Fazan. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone.
Sarina, I want to introduce to you my friend and our guest here today, Captain John Phillips, who is a candidate for House District running as a Republican in the primary against an incumbent. John, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
It's good to have you.
And John, thank you so much for your years of service. You served for more than 30 years, right, in the U.S. Coast Guard. So we never have proper words of thanks for people who've served in our military.
It's always an awkward position to be thanked for my service, but I usually respond with, I enjoyed every bit of it.
Aww.
And then on top of that, I add with a caveat, maybe not the first 2 years. Anybody that served kind of knows where I'm going with that, especially if they were enlisted.
That's cool.
But yeah.
So you are Captain John Phillips on the ballot.
John
Captain
and the
Phillips.
captain is from quotation. I have to be very clear about that because I was not the rank of a captain. I was the rank of a chief warrant officer 4. So that's a whole different thing.
Okay. So
but the nickname stems from I was commanding officer of 4 different units, and I was also officer in charge. Officer in charge designation is limited to enlisted personnel, but when you make chief warrant officer, you become an officer, and then with the title of officer, when you're the commanding officer of a unit, especially a ship, well,
you're the captain.
Actually, only a ship. Yeah,
right.
Like it's good morning, captain. And captain on the bridge, and so on.
Yeah, that's
so
cool.
That's where like most. I joke. I had a couple other nicknames in the service, but captain was the only one suitable for ballot.
Right. It's probably only a suitable one for our show too. So we keep it clean here most of the time, right? So tell your history, your background. You born and raised in Pinellas County, and then
in New Jersey, actually, I believe, right?
Yeah.
No, but you lived. I'm sorry, you lived in Pinellas County. For years.
I grew up in Pinellas County, and I went to elementary school right around the corner, Longman Elementary, and then I went to Meadowlawn Middle School, and then Gibbs High School.
So why'd you move out of Pinellas when?
Well, I didn't want to. I love St. Pete. I grew up here. I was very attached to the city and everything that it has to offer, but I joined the Coast Guard in 1994. I was fortunate enough to be stationed back in St. Pete for my first tour, and then subsequently 2 more tours, so 7 years, and a lot of people wonder how I did that, but I really, like they send you where they send you, and it's either good or bad.
Right.
But after 7 years, they said, okay, this guy's been here long enough.
Where'd they ship you off after that?
Bayonne, New Jersey.
Oh.
Wow. Oh, wow. So back to the state you were born.
Right, and that was somewhat by design, because you do get some say, and at that time I had 3 children, and I wanted some family support from my wife, and I have family in New Jersey still, so obviously that was I ended up being stationed Bayonne, lived in Staten Island, New York, where my son was born, but essentially, then I moved around for 12 years, and then finally made it back to Florida.
Okay, so let's fast forward to today. You've been down in Manatee County for how many years?
Since 2012.
2012. Yeah, so you're pretty much, you got your bona fides. And you decided to run for state house against an incumbent Republican. For what are your top 3 reasons? Why are you running?
Well, the number 1 reason is I started paying closer attention to local politics, and I realized what an effect local politics has on our everyday life, more so than at the national level.
Absolutely.
I think not enough people realize that, and we get distracted by the mainstream media and everything you see online with national politics. But if you're really concerned about like your daily drive and your daily trip to the grocery store and the life that your kids grow up in, in the world that they grow up in, local politics has a really strong influence on that. So I started paying closer attention. I saw what was going on with the county commission, and I think we're headed in the right path there. In 24, there was an election where 4 different seats were open and 4 candidates ran on basically a grassroots campaign, and none of the establishment types were elected, and they basically kicked that group out of the county, which was good. But since then, I think there's been some infiltration, but I think we're headed on the right path with the county. So then I looked at the next level. Well, I'm not in this to do it for the money, which county commission pays pretty well. State representative doesn't pay well at all. So then you have to look at who are our state representatives, why are they running, and what do they have to gain from it. Personally, I have nothing to gain from it, but helping to make my county better and make the rest of my retirement, a little bit more enjoyable as far as quality of life goes. Certainly not financially.
Growth is a big problem all across the state of Florida.
Growth is absolutely the biggest issue that you see right now, and you have a lot of grassroots candidates running on the campaign of slowing the growth, moratoriums on building, moratoriums on data centers. That's just all part of it. It's all. I just want to represent the people of Manatee County. I want them to be sure that their voices will be heard in Tallahassee. Whether that is impactful or not largely depends on how the rest of the state votes in these elections.
Well, they are saying, and which you shared with us, that Parrish, which is in Manatee County, right, is the largest growing
City in the state.
in the state of Florida.
And I
right now.
believe the country, but fact check me on that. But I thought I read an article that said that the largest growing city in the United States.
So, Captain, do you feel that more growth though is needed, or would you like to slow down the growth?
Well, my campaign slogan is "Slow the growth," and I have these bracelets. And I was thinking about bringing you guys some, but I didn't want to go too far with it. But essentially, slowing the growth, to me, what that means is getting your infrastructure in place, being sure that all your local roads, businesses, highways, schools, emergency response is all ready for the influx of people.
Mm-hmm. Build the infrastructure before you build the houses.
Well, it used to be a requirement. There used to be the Florida Growth Management Act, which was passed in 1985, that required concurrence. And concurrence is essentially that, getting all your infrastructure in place. In 2012, they passed the Community Growth Act. I would say there's powers in words. Community growth, how do we make the community grow? Well, we make it easier. We eliminate the requirement for concurrence, and we do a couple other breaks here and there. And then you fast forward to 2025, you have the SB 180, which is a bill that was passed titled emergencies, like literally the title of the bill.
Right.
But there's some language in there that just makes it easier for the developers to do essentially what they want with rezoning and building, and it limits the local home rule.
And they don't pay a dime, basically, for all of the things that their developments are going to impact.
I wouldn't say that they don't pay a dime, but I definitely agree that they don't pay their fair share. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is that gets passed on.
Right.
You get your CDDs, which is essentially an additional tax to your primary tax. And then you have, they sell these communities and they advertise these HOA fees and dues, and they kind of keep the CDD kind of quiet. And then
Until the tax bill comes.
and then once the HOA is handed over to the community, they're like, guess what? All those line items that we had on your budget, those were grossly undercut. So now not only are you going to pay it, but you're going to pay to catch up, but you're also going to pay an increased rate. So there's a lot of shady business, shady tactics going on, and at the end of the day, the developers are the ones benefiting and the taxpayers are the ones taking the hit.
Did you imagine that you would ever run for office?
I was always I wouldn't say deeply, I was always as involved as I could be in politics and paying attention, but like I said, I kind of got distracted on the national level, and I really didn't, just like most people in the community, didn't really understand how important local politics was. But once I started digging in, I said, okay, well, I have the opportunity here because I'm a retired veteran and I don't need the money, and I'm used to being away from home for at least 2 months at a time. So
It's a requirement of the state.
and I've been told that I'm going to get stuck in the basement, and I say, well, I was a non-rate on a 210-foot cutter, and I stayed in deck berthing in what they call the ghetto, which is 3 racks that are closer together than we are, with 6 guys living in this little corner. You start out there and you move up, but essentially, put me in the basement, that's fine. So I have the capability and the willingness to do it instead of just sitting back and maybe being like a social media justice warrior or complaining or going to the county commission and complaining. I want to actually work with the county commission to get their voices heard in Tallahassee.
All right, I got a question for you. You're wearing your Tampa Bay Rays shirt.
I wore this for you guys.
You wore that just for me.
I wanted more of a connection to your show, Tampa Bay, than the Rays. But I'm a Rays fan.
Okay, I'm a Rays fan too, but I have very distinct opinions about taxpayer funding for billion-dollar sports stadiums that benefit billion-dollar owners that own a private corporation. What's your take on, should we be giving the Rays any state funds or state assets in order to build a stadium?
It's always a threatening posture. If you don't give us this funds, we're going to move the team somewhere else. Or if, or we're going to bring this much money to the community and it'll pay you back in the long run. I agree with you 100%. I don't think taxpayer money should be going into this unless there's some kind of guaranteed return on investment. Yeah. For example, it was the Suncoast Dome when it opened, and then it became a nickname, the Thunderdome, because we had the Lightning play there. But then we named it the Tropicana Field, and I'm sure Tropicana paid a nice price for that. Yeah. So let's negotiate. I'm not completely opposed to taxpayer and local community, especially if the community agrees to build it and keep it. But how about, naming rights or some kind of kickback with the
Rays want all that
jerseys
stuff.
and so on.
Yeah,
they
want it all.
that all
They want
that
it
stuff ends up going to the owner, and the taxpayer gets a promise of, well, over 30 years you'll get your money back.
Sure, we will.
Yeah, show me evidence of that,
Yeah.
and then maybe we'll consider it. But essentially, I'm adamantly opposed to it.
All right, cool.
There's a lot of debate on it, so I'll just keep my mouth shut.
I mean, it just depends on how much you like sports. But honestly, I think sports is just another distraction. Let's get the people involved in sports and make all these things seem very important, and then they'll be distracted and not really look at the important things that we're doing over here.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Well, Christopher mentioned that in this race you're running against an incumbent. How is your campaign going? Are people recognize your name? I mean, how do you feel it's going?
I think it's going well considering I'm a low-budget grassroots candidate. And I'm fairly proud, and I'm not probably the best person as far as goes asking for contributions because
You're not.
Just like with just like with the
You're not gonna
stadium
get an
deal.
award for asking for money.
But just like with the stadium deal, like I'm not going to ask people for wasteful money. So, but I believe I've had a good chance. I looked at the primary numbers in 24. My Facebook following, which is where most of my name recognition is coming from, is growing. At a pretty reasonable pace. I think I've over 600,000 views. And
congratulations!
And today I hit 1,200 followers. So there's that. And more exciting than probably either of those facts is yesterday the Tampa Bay, the Bradenton Times endorsed me as a candidate.
Oh, congratulations! Congratulations! That's wonderful.
So hopefully that will, get my name out there to more people because they have, pretty good readership.
Yeah. No, it was a good endorsement. I read it.
Did you
read
read
it
it?
yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Knowing you're coming in today. So.
Yeah, it hit me by total surprise. I was very excited and happy to get it. But endorsements only go so far as well. I think the best part of my campaigning so far is standing out in front of the library and introducing myself to people and getting them to sign petitions. And,
you qualified by petition,
I did
right?
qualify petition. Ironically, I turned in 1,790 petitions, and my Coast Guard connection, I can't help but notice that 1790 is the year the Coast Guard was born.
Oh my gosh,
and
how
I had no idea.
serendipitous.
Yeah, and so they only accepted 1,425 though, and I needed 1,372. But either way, I had more than enough to qualify, and honestly, there was probably about 150 to 200 petitions that I didn't turn in because I recognized that they wouldn't get approved. But in the process, you're asking people to do something. You don't want to be too nitpicky, like, oh, make sure you sign this properly, or make sure that date's there, or whatever there. Yeah. But that was, as hard work as it was also enjoyable and rewarding because I got to meet so many different people and just really connect with them and have a conversation like we're having here. My opponent, he paid both times and he's not having any conversation.
He qualified by paying the fee as opposed to collecting the petitions.
Well, I wouldn't say he paid a fee. His contributor paid a fee. His treasurer paid a fee. How about that?
His campaign funds. All right, so any other big burning issues down there in Manatee County that you want to see addressed we haven't already talked about?
Well, there are, and I'm not certain which way to go with them, but I will just tell you that there's a lot of talk about the dog shelter there, but that's a county level thing. So I don't want to really try to cross lines, but I have a couple bills. There's canopy tree road protections. There's a lot of things that I could bring up and that are important to the people in Manatee County, but none more important than home rule and bringing the representation to Tallahassee and making sure that their voices are heard.
Fantastic.
Well, I think it's so wonderful too. You're just proof on how your past can really shape you and what a difference you can make in the future. And I loved when you talk about when you said, I'm used to being gone for 2 months. I'm used to living here. Isn't that something that you wouldn't think, right? But again, comes full circle and.
That's cool.
And my family has a history of public service, so you can look, you can look at that. You can look at my Facebook profile picture. My banner picture is from my retirement, and I retired here in St. Petersburg as well. So I was fortunate enough to do that. I actually had 3 tours on the same cutter, and everybody said it couldn't be done. But
that's cool.
You compete for these jobs based on your performance. So I feel like I earned them, and it certainly wasn't a case of, somebody, because that's not how the military operates, and that's what I think I like bringing to. The idea of bringing that to Tallahassee, it's not who you know, it's what you know.
Absolutely.
And you know, like I understand there's a certain amount of who you know, but it's performance and experience that you're presenting, not I'm doing someone else's bidding. And also I'm playing by the rules, because I played by the rules by 31 and a half years, and I think I did well at it. But essentially my family's history of public service, I mentioned this online, but I'm going to do this shameful plug. I recently found out through Ancestry DNA that my 6th great grandfather, and this is the interesting piece that maybe I would share, is his name is Robert Levers. He's from Easton, PA, and he was one of 3 men to first publicly read the Declaration of Independence on July 8th, 1776.
No way.
You know, he actually got on a horse
That's
and went to Philadelphia and got it.
That's
Came
super
back
cool.
to Eastern PA and read it at the public square, and they still do reenactments of it to this day.
That's cool.
Yeah, so there's that. That's the farthest back history, but recent history is my son-in-law is a detective with Manatee County Sheriff's. My wife is a principal in DeSoto County, and she recently wrote a book.
His wife, Brandy, is lovely.
Oh, wow,
Yeah,
that's so wonderful.
she's a better candidate.
Yeah, sure.
If we're being honest, and I knew Chris.
She's a lot easier on the eyes, too.
I figured I'd say it before Chris had a chance to. But she's been working in Manatee. She worked in Manatee County schools for over 20 years, worked in Hillsborough County, and then is now in DeSoto County. She's a turnaround principal. Her book is doing pretty well. We don't know for sure, you know, until they only tell you twice a year how many copies you've sold, which I find weird. But yeah, I have 2 daughters in the Coast Guard. One is active duty, and one is a reservist. I have a daughter that works in school. My one daughter who gave me grandchildren, she works. She was a teacher, but now she works in the school part-time as a reading coach. And then my son's working with in boat-related marina. My stepson also. The 2 boys who I wish had joined the Coast Guard are both working at marinas, not the Coast Guard.
That's funny.
And then I got 2 daughters who I had never mentioned anything to the Coast Guard to join.
Yeah.
Yeah, so figure that one out. But and then I got another daughter that just got hired at Moffitt Cancer Research Center. And then my stepson Brandon is a firefighter with East Manatee, and he's actually been doing so well. He won Rookie of the Year, but that was a couple of years ago.
That's
so
cool.
I'm very proud of the public
good
service
stock.
of my family. You know, and I'd like to think that I had some influence in that. You know,
Absolutely.
dad,
Yeah.
stepdad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, shameless plug. You mentioned your wife's book. You gotta tell us the name of it. Maybe anybody wants to get online and find it.
It's Emotionally Intelligent School Leadership, Leading with Heart, Transforming with Purpose. And her name on her book, her author name is Brandy Tackett. You can find her on Amazon or Routledge Publishing.
Brandy Tackett.
Tackett.
And tell us the name of the book again.
Emotionally Intelligent School Leadership, Leading with Heart, Transforming with Purpose. So the first part is the main
Emotionally
title.
Intelligent School Leadership. You can probably find it that way. Okay. And then shameless self-promotion for your website, your Facebook page, anything else you want to share with us?
Absolutely. www.johnphillipsforhouse.com.
JohnPhillipsForHouse.com.
And that's where you'll find out about all my career. I even posted some of my awards if anybody's interested. I'm not good at self-promotion, but I don't want anybody questioning my, you know, the title.
Right.
And I've mentioned some of the places I've been, all the policies and stuff that I stand behind. And then on my Facebook page, Captain Phillips for House, you'll find a lot of local politics and local issues that are important to people to kind of build that local network, and also how that works with the state. For example, today I made a post about the candidate oath for write-in candidates. I don't know if many of the viewers are watching this know this, but if you have 2 candidates of the same party or more and not opposition, that creates an open primary in Florida. So the loophole to fixing that open primary is you either have a write-in candidate or you have some puppet candidate declared on the other party who has no chance of winning, and that closes the primary. So there's posts about things like that. So you can find that stuff on my Facebook page.
All right. Well, fantastic, John. We appreciate it. It's a coup that you got Captain on the ballot.
Yeah,
You're going
I
to
just
be John
love it.
Captain Phillips.
I love it.
If people don't know anything about you or your opponent, they'd be like, I think I'm going with the Captain.
So I did get a call from the supervisor of elections the other day, and it was one of those canned calls that goes out to every candidate who has a nickname on the ballot. And it said, there's a chance that your nickname may not make the ballot.
Oh, really?
And I had a conversation with the gentleman. I understand he was just doing his job, but it was like, do I get any say in that matter? Do I get to provide evidence that this nickname is legitimate? For example, there's one candidate in the House race, and he's got Batman as his nickname.
Oh, no way.
So I'd like
Was
to
that on
see-
the ballot?
No, but it's listed on the state website.
Yeah, so I thought you'd already qualified with that on the ballot. So it might not happen, 'cause I was
mistakenly
really
thought I
impressed by
did as
that.
well.
I was impressed that happened, but yeah, I thought it was
I only mistakenly believed that because when I qualified,
It was
they
part of it.
changed it. It said John
it
Phillips
says that
before,
on
and
the
then they
website.
added it. So now they'll have to take it away. You know, those.
Either way, you're still the captain.
Yeah.
All right,
hopefully,
John.
hopefully people can remember
Yeah.
John Captain Phillips, and if the captain's not there, they still remember the Phillips. So we'll see.
Absolutely. Thank you, Captain.
We wish you the best.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Every story shared
Adds another heartbeat to Tampa Bay.
from courage to community.
We are so proud to tell the stories that keep our neighborhood strong.
Thanks for watching The Heartbeat of Tampa Bay.
Awesome.
Good job, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
So great having you.